live broadcast, so please send your reactions along and also get used to the theme song that started the program. My name is Augustine Bilkerly, and in today's edition we will be discussing some factors responsible for youth unemployment, including the effects on young people's livelihoods and best ways to addressing these challenges. According to the United Nations, Africa has the youngest population in the world, with 70% of sub-Saharan Africa under the age of 30. So such a high number of young people is an opportunity for the continent's growth, as youth employment is an essential element of a strong base in any country. However, with the booming population on the rise, youth unemployment still has a domino effect on local societies, and it's turning into a major catastrophic in the West African sub-region. And this is why it's important to discuss this situation.
Take the Lead is back in 2025 with a brand new format. Yes, your youth exchange space will now be broadcast live every Friday at 4:05 p.m. Universal Time. And that's not all. Dear internet users and WADR subscribers, you have the opportunity to experience the show live and direct on our online platforms on Facebook at WADR English Service and on YouTube at WADR. Take the Lead every Friday from 4:05 p.m. Universal Time and rebroadcast same day at 1 a.m. Universal Time. Also on every Tuesday, your youth program will be rebroadcast at 7:15 a.m. and 4:05 p.m. GMT. Take the lead and champion the discourse for the betterment of young people.
Indeed, take the lead and champion the cause for the betterment of young people in Africa. Well, joining us for today's discussion is Babakar Ngom, a young Senegalese journalist right here in studio with me. Good afternoon to you, Babakar. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Augustine. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Yes, can I get you again, please? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Augustine. It's a pleasure to be here today.
All right. We also have Love Kojo. She's a Ghanaian youth. Love is in Ghana there. Love, how are you doing? Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon and thank you so much.
All right. We also have Terence Toure. Terence Toure is a Liberian youth based here in Senegal. Right here on my immediate left. Terence, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Augustine College. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. Jacinta Paul is a Sierra Leonean youth. She's all the way there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, but currently with us, in spirit, and her voice is being heard. Let's listen to you. How are you doing, Jacinta? Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and I'm doing well.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you people on the program today. So not to waste your time, let's go straight to business. We begin with Terence sharing with us your own understanding about the word employment before discussing youth and unemployment. What does it mean, to be employed, or when you hear the word employment?
Okay. Thank you once again. When you talk about employment, you talk about the ability for one to see how best he or she can get a paid jobs and earn a living to sustain his well-being.
Okay, well-paid job to sustain his or well-being. What's about you, Ababakar?
Okay, when we talk about, let's say, unemployment, it means that someone who have the ability, the capability, and the will to work, but he doesn't find a job.
Oh, okay.
So I'm understanding.
That's great. Now, what does it mean to you to be employed, Love? What does it mean for a young person to be employed?
Okay, so basically being able to exchange your skills or knowledge for an income. being able to exchange your skills or knowledge for an income, um, that enables you to give your quota to the society you live in.
Great. Jacinta, what's your view about this?
For me, it's a situation where an individual is capable of working but doesn't have any job.
It's capable of working but doesn't have any job. I mean, it's really an interesting one. We will delve deep into that. But how important is it, for youth to be employed? To you, Terence, how important it is? You are a young man. How is it important for you to be employed?
No, it is always important for young people to be employed in our society because young people need to engage into the uplifting of our continent, especially the well-being and the stability of our continent at large, and human resource building capacity also need to be indicated, and that's it. There's a lot of important things for young people to be employed in order to divert from all those chaotic acts and make a way out.
Chaotic. We'll get to you more about the other chaotic acts that you tend to talk about, but let's hear from Babaka. In your own sense, how important it is for a young person like you to be employed?
Yes, it's very important for a young person as me to be employed because it's allow you to help your family, support help your family, but also it allow you to contribute to the development of your own country and to be, let's say, useful for a society.
Great. Can we hear from you, Love, before we transition to the next question on our list in terms of the importance of young people being employed?
Yeah, basically, I agree with what everyone has said. Being able to do something to keep you not just busy but fulfilled, driving your passions, and therefore keeping you away from being idle.
Keeping you away from being idle. Now, let's transition with you, Jacinta. How is the unemployment rate like in your country, Sierra Leone, where you are? What's your own observation about the ratio of youth unemployment?
Well, from my side, it's pretty high, I would say.
It's high.
Yes.
If you were to, give a rate approximately, what would you say is at which percentage?
The percentage, is it over 100 or?
Of the young people being unemployed?
Okay. So I'll say 70-30.
70-30. Wow.
Yeah.
Indeed, that's indeed a huge number, a percentage. But what's about you, Terence? You from Liberia, you are based in here in Senegal. Give us a take on, especially when you were in Liberia, and now that you often, follow up on your country in terms of the young people being unemployed. At what percentage you think it is?
Approximately 80 to 85% of Liberian youth are not really employed, to be sincere.
How long have you known that?
For a couple of years now, through research and other observations about day-to-day activities in the country, 80 to 85% of young people in Liberia are not employed, to be honest.
We will get back to the reasons, resorting to that. But we are in Senegal, and Babaka is right here in Senegal, a Senegalese journalist. Tell us more about your own observation about the young people's unemployment level here.
Yeah, according to the National Agency of Statistics and Demography, they say that around 20.2% of young people in Senegal are in employment.
So, Babaka, let me stick with you. Why do you think this, rate of unemployment continue to rise? Why do you think are the factors for this youthful unemployment?
Yeah, first of all, we can note the problem of our education system. it is so much theoretical, and it doesn't allow students to find a job. And another problem that we can also cite is we are so much spent on the informal sectors, and there are also the other problem which is the corruption, and this is the three main causes of unemployment of young people in Senegal.
Babakar talks about corruption, one of the key points. How is it like in Ghana for you, Love, in terms of the young people's being unemployed, the factors responsible? What could you say about that?
When it comes to Ghana, the reports by the World Bank said that we have about 4.5 people within the youth bracket, and our rate of unemployment is about 12 to 15%. That's about 2.7 million people. Therefore, looking at the basic thing that people either do not have the skills needed for the so-called jobs available, or there are not just enough jobs to facilitate bringing people on. So when you come into Ghana, we have the government sector, we have the private sector, and you have a situation where people leave university and are expecting to enter the government sector. But how many people can really enter the public sector? That's the government sector. So there are not enough jobs to meet the skill coming out of the universities, the vocational institutions, etc.
But Love, from your own belief, is it that there's no enough job? There's no accessible job for the young people, or there are other factors that are undermining the young people's employment in Ghana?
So when it comes to Ghana, currently our GDP to debt ratio is really high, and therefore the private sector, which was one of the biggest employers in the country, they keep leaving. So if you watch our news, a lot of companies keep leaving the country because now our debt to GDP ratio is so high. So the jobs do not exist, and the innovative jobs to meet the current world we live in, we do not have people skilled enough to get into it. So it's still the traditional knowledge acquired through our universities, and not enough technical knowledge.
Okay. Now, for you, Jacinta, would you mind telling us if it is difficult for young people to find job in Sierra Leone, how difficult is it to find job for the young people in Sierra Leone?
Well, for my country, I'll say it's very difficult due to insufficient job openings, lack of experiences, or maybe competition from experienced candidates. Also can be an issue, and educational mismatches.
Educational mismatches.
Yes. So let's say, for instance, there is a job opening for human resource management. And if I'm looking for a job, and maybe what I studied doesn't relate to human resource management, there is no way I'll be able to get a job.
Wow. All right, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. We will get more from you. But let's come back to you, Babakar. That's Terence, before we go to Babakar. From the situation in your country, you think is it better to leave your country and find a job to another country, or what do you make of that?
Sometimes it is better, but sometimes, there's an advantage and disadvantage in the situation.
Yeah,
you understand?
Tell us about that.
Depending on the career planning, also depending on the professional, it is always important to always gain international or foreign experience and to improve on your technical know-how.
Okay.
But for young people within their country, when there is an opportunity or when there is or employment rate for young people are increased on the light, you see more young people will remain in their state or in their country to improve on their daily life. But for instance, some part of 2012, 2013 when I went on a internship. Yeah, I went on an internship and then I saw a lot of technical things that I did in my school. But upon graduation, to implement some of these things being very difficult for me because I didn't see, I wasn't having the opportunity to touch this stuff. And then for that reason, I have to see how best I can make my way out to improve, to gain more experience, and to learn new technique and improve on my career.
Wow.
So it's always important for young people to travel out to get all of the experience and then go back home and improve the system to see how best you can work things out for your community. It's always important.
It's always important. But for you, Babaka, the issue of education and qualification, how can we reconcile the two? It's often debatable that one needs to be educated, to get a job. And it comes with mostly young people just wanting to graduate from high school, graduate from college, and then they get a job. Most institutions will require years of experience. What do you make of that?
Yes, the main problem here in Senegal, for example, is that we don't have enough, let's say, private industries or something like that. We allow young people to let's say to have skills. I mean, here everything almost is very theoretical, and it's the reason why I think government or authorities should help young people, students, for example, in university, to make something like entrepreneurship that will allow them to have the skills and to be able to get a job.
All right. But for you, Love, what do you make of it? Education and qualification. In Ghana, I know people will graduate and they need to get a job, but institutions required years of experience so that they wouldn't just give a job to someone who must have just read about it and took some, assignments, quiz and tests, and then feel that they can do the job.
Absolutely. So as the previous speakers spoke about, it's something I really agree with, and I encourage a lot of young people like myself to do, and that is improve on your technical knowledge. So right after generic university, or you have a bachelor's or a higher national diploma or whatever we call it, get skilled in whatever field. So you need the career, you need to really.
Okay. Well, I think it's network problem, but you were actually putting some good points. The aspect of developing your technical skills.
Yes. So developing your technical skills to really get into the area, and also seek out internships, free internships, because all these add up to the experiences companies are looking for. But it's not just about the company. It's also about you having the confidence in knowing that you know your work, you know your worth, and what you can bring on board. So it might be hard, but put in the effort to go into internships. That will give you the experience, and before you know it, you'll be in positions you deserve.
Well, Jacinta, do you believe in this ideology? The young people should have the experience before getting a job?
Yes, I do, but there is a bit of some addition.
What are
So
they?
in the area of companies that are looking for years of experience, but there is no way someone can be experienced in a certain field if not being employed. So if I'm applying for a job and you're telling me that I'm just from the university, I haven't worked, and I applied for what I studied for, and you tell me that I need to get a 5 years experience, where do you expect me to get it from if you don't employ me?
Okay. Now that's the point. Now that's the point, Terrence. But in terms of the job, mostly like young people would love to have. What type of job you think you would love to have as a young person, or what mostly young people go for in terms of the kind of job they want to do?
You know, it is always important for we young people to encourage ourselves to see how best we can engage within the technical field, because Africa have a lot to do when it comes to the issue of development. You understand? So it is always important for young African to engage in the technical sectors, to engage in the engineering field to see how best he or she can be impactable in the society. But nowadays, most of the young people always try to see how best they can go on the business fees and what have you. And with all that, I don't think that will help to create and uplift our continent at large. So it's always important for young people to work technically, especially with the young men, to build our continent, because without technicality, it would be difficult for our continent to raise up.
Right. Babaka, Jacinta stressed a very important point regarding the issue of qualifications and experience, as to how do you expect the young person to have the experience of the job when they are not given the chance, to have a job so that they will, experience the kind of job that you want them to have the experience in?
Maybe in Senegal, what they know is the informal sectors, let's say. I think the most of them are in businesses like let's say selling some articles. Yes, and they use network. Most of the time, they use network today to make their business. And I think it is a very good thing, because if you don't have a job, if you are not employed, and you have to find your own jobs, and I think that is a better one that selling something like articles, because we are in a country where, let's say, young people like me, they want to buy something like clothes, like they say.
Just flashy life.
Absolutely. That's why there are many young people today, they are in Senegal.
Quickly, before we take our break to get a report from Ghana about the youth unemployment rate there, I would like to ask you this question. Have you experienced difficulties in finding a job as a young person?
Fortunately, that wasn't my case.
Okay.
Because I early understand that the domain in which I was in university, it didn't allow me to get a job easily. And I do competitions to join CESTI, the journalism school.
Okay.
All right, and after my training, just 6 months after, I was called by, let's say, a media where I am since there.
That's great. So, what about you, Terrence? Have you experienced difficulties in finding a job as a young person?
Yeah, honestly, I remember, first time I came here, it was a little bit difficult because of language barrier. But, but God I have it, I was recommended by one of my colleagues, and that was the time where I have to show my ability, or my technical know-how, or what I've studied over the past time, I have to implement and show, because, it is difficult with an English person in a French environment, and then you working from the English system to that of the French system, meaning you have to deal with conversion theory, you have to deal with hard calculation, and then you have to really focus, meaning you don't have a resting time, because every time you go home, you have to do a proper research, you have to go back to your way back note, and then see how best you can start working on the conversion theory to make it in the system, because with all that, you will not survive, because you have people from different areas who is here who are in a lot of competition when it comes to the job market. It's not something easy, especially we, the technician, we want to fee when it comes to the technical fee. You have to be very, very, very impressive.
All right. Now, we have so far listened to interesting experiences from our guests on this third edition of Take the Lead in the year 2025. Let's now join our Ghanaian correspondent, Nadede Titi, for a short report on the status of youth unemployment in that West African state.
The Republic of Ghana, with a projected population of 34.12 million in 2024, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, has a significant youth demographic, with data from the 2021 National Census indicating that approximately 35% of the population consists of children aged 0 to 14 years, while 38% are young people aged 15 to 35 years. About 4% of the population falls into the older age group of 65 and above, while the youth dependency ratio stands at 66.2%. Despite a gradual decrease in youth unemployment from 6.2% in 2020 to about 5.5% in 2023, there are still concerns. Many young people, particularly those aged 15 to 35, face challenges such as low employment rates, underemployment, and limited access to education and training. A 2022 survey by the Ghana Statistical Service reveals that over 20% of youth in this age group are neither in education, employment, or training. The COVID-19 pandemic worsened these issues, leading to layoffs and reduced job creation. Today's young people experience lower employment rates despite achieving higher educational attainment compared to previous generations. As a result, several Ghanaian youth advocates have raised concerns about these prevailing concerns.
For me, the factors I think are responsible for the increased unemployment in Ghana are corruption. Jobs are given to people who pay bribes rather than those who are really qualified for the jobs.
Now, despite the educational qualifications of many of these young people, most of them who a diploma, first degree, masters, there's difficulty in finding job, underemployment, or no work at all.
In response to these challenges, newly elected President John Dramani Mahama has implemented a key policy change by separating the Ministry of Youth and Sports into two distinct entities, the Youth Development and Empowerment Ministry and the Sports and Recreation Ministry. This restructuring aims to address youth issues more effectively, with a focus on creating job opportunities and empowering young people independently of sports promotion.
Thanks to Nadede Titi for that beautiful report. Welcome back to Take the Lead, your premier youthful platform that sets the agenda for topical discussions ordered by young people within the West African sub-region and beyond. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Let's quickly read some of your comments as they come along. So far, I see units, Ekame Mupanga just sent a love emoji. Thank you. Boka Tol Calaban says, unemployment, one of the main and harmful matters that Africa is facing, particularly Western Africa. It seems that governments want somehow to keep young people in schools and universities as long as possible. We are prisoners of a system that needs to be changed. As I said in the French broadcast with Demba Amaan, or is just a matter of will of our leaders. Certainly, he believes it's just a matter of the will of leaders who can decide for the young people. But what do you think? You can also send in your comments. We'll read them out. Let's now transition to the effects quickly that unemployment has on young people. And we'll begin with the females. This time, Love, share with us your own understanding about how unemployment affects young people. Let's hear from you, Love.
Yes, Augustine. When it comes to young people, I always say young people have a lot of energy. They have a lot of ideas. They are in the cusp of their life. But when a young person does not have a job, it leaves them with the opportunity to do just anything to survive. And therefore, the effects are many because it affects their mental health, our mental, let me say our mental health, because I'm a youth. Our mental health, it can also affect your physical health, because if you cannot afford to feed, it's going to affect your physical health, because where are you going to get the money in exchange of your skills to take care of yourself? So for me, I like to focus on the psychological effect of not having a job, of feeling less of yourself, seeing your colleagues go to work and you not having something to do that is worth it.
Okay.
It affects psychologically.
Okay, psychologically. All right, let's hear from Jacinta. You could add on to how do you think this is, affecting young people? You are in Sierra Leone there, young people could be finding it difficult to get job. How do you think it is affecting their livelihoods?
So in terms of the individuals, it causes financial instability. And it also
Go ahead.
it also questions low self-esteem and feelings of frustration or hopelessness. Then it can also lead to poor mental health, lack of motivation. Then in terms of the society, high youth employment can lead to social unrest, increased crime rates, loss of economic productivity, further straining the economy. So it's actually affects young people a lot, because nowadays you can see a lot of unemployed youths running around the streets. Those are into drugs, those are into prostitution and other things. So it's really bad.
Wow. It's really bad. She talked about prostitution, and I know other will want to add on to drug abuse and more. But Babaka, what's about you in terms of the effects?
Yes, I say unemployment affects both young people, the unemployed, but also the society. In terms of individuals, for example, we may notice some psychological effects like depressions, like stress, and in terms of society, it may grow the delinquency. But also, if you take the case of Senegal, it is the cause of what the phenomenon that is caused like the Barca or Barca. I mean, young people risk their life to leave the country to join Europe.
Okay. The issue of these illegal migration.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it is mostly observed here in Senegal. The young people are highly involved. So does that may also affect the economic sector of the country?
Yeah, absolutely. Because most of these young people, they are trained, they are skilled, but they don't find job here in Senegal. So they leave, and this is let's say a waste for our economy. But they could, for example, if they found a job here in Senegal, they could contribute to the development of our country.
Is it the same in Liberia, Terence, in terms of the young people mostly being affected by unemployment?
Yeah, definitely, because if you look at the case of Liberia in young people, you see a lot of activities in our country, especially when it comes to the crime scene and unrest and that of just addiction. A lot of young people are involved in it, and they are vulnerable in society, because when young people are not employed, they begin vulnerable in the society and being used as a scapegoat for politicians. You understand? So I think most of these things need to be dealt with. Our politicians in Africa need to observe and see how best they can create a skill or handwork that the young people will be innovative into society and make the difference. Because if you observe the West African Sahara region, you will notice that Africa is home to one of the highest amount of resources within this region, but it's also home to the highest unemployed rate of young people. And I think most of the things need to be addressed by our so-called politicians in West Africa.
Is it just easy to solve, or there are challenges to address this issue of youth unemployment?
Yeah, there are a lot of challenges. I think most of our leaders in Africa need to see how best they can redress, in terms of their healthy and wealthy salary and see how they can make some other adjustment when it comes to youth program, in a lot of creative program to promote a technical program or maybe entrepreneurship for young people, at least to be for young people to be in society, to be beneficiary for our continent, West Africa.
Okay. As we get your maybe recommendations or possible solutions to addressing the issue of youth unemployment, especially in West Africa, Love, in addition, how do you envision the West African sub-region in the coming years if the issue of youth unemployment is not addressed adequately? How do you see the sub-region to be in the coming years?
So basically, it will be what is happening now, but on a maximum level, where we have people living in drones in so-called first world countries for greener pastures. People will live in drones because nobody will want to stay in a space where your skill is not valued.
Well, I think network from that end in Ghana, but we will keep getting up.
Their skill point. So as I was saying, a lot of young people are underpaid because a lot of the jobs are under their skill point. So they would leave. A lot of youth is going to leave. Brain drain is going to happen on a huge scale if unemployment issues are not solved.
Okay. What's about, just before we go, what do you think needs to be done quickly before we go to Jacinta? What do you think needs to be done right now by national and regional leaders to address the situation?
So I think that on a national level, leaders need to begin to look into the digital scale, because the digital space has a lot of opportunities where one does not have to be in a physical office, but will still work from home and be paid. But the issue we have in a lot of sub-Saharan countries is our payment platforms, where even on the online and digital spaces, we do not have the appropriate access to payment platforms to enable you to get paid. So in some countries, PayPal is blocked. In other countries, it's open. But to be able to link it to your bank account, you have to go through so many loopholes. So I think that nationally, leaders need to look into the digital skill and begin to encourage and hold programs that would encourage young people to develop skills in those areas.
Okay. Let's hear from you, Jacinta. What are possible solutions to addressing this issue of youth unemployment in the region?
Well, in my case, they have to try to improve in terms of the economic limitations. There are a lot of economic limitations, and it makes it become more difficult because you cannot employ someone and then you're unable to pay them. So that's something they have to work on. Then they have to monitor the educational systems wherein everybody get the right and adequate education that they need in order to be able to apply for these various vacancies that they will be pulling out.
All right. Now back here to you, Babaka. Please recommend to your government, regional leaders regarding this issue of youth unemployment.
Yes, I think the best solution is to, let's say, to accelerate the industrialization, but also to try to adapt our education to the, let's say, the needs of the market. I mean, the future jobs.
Okay.
Because what we're learning today at university, most of the time, it's not what we need exactly.
Oh, so most of what you learn is not what you're getting outside. So there should be a connection with the school and the job market.
Absolutely.
There should be available jobs of what been taught in the school.
Absolutely. I think that it's the best things that we have to do today Farm Solution is try to see what to teach or what to give as knowledge to the students, as for they have easily the job. I mean, what the market jobs needs.
Okay. What a nice one from Babaka. He's kind of concerned about what the job market offers. That's why also students or institutions should be teaching the students. And to you, Terence, what are your recommendations?
Yeah, I would recommend policy makers, especially regional leaders, politicians, need to see how best they can make young people to be inclusive in society, especially in governmental sectors and also in the industrial area. Because how will a young person being exclusive or being inclusive? Because one, the government need to see how best they can work in the industrial sectors to see how best young people can work and help their countries. Because when there is no industry, you will see a lot of vulnerable youth around here because people may or team, they may achieve whatsoever technical know-how. But as long as the job market is not available, he or she will be useless in the society. You'll be passing around. At the end of the day, what you learn, it's not what you're going to do. Maybe you learn something like industrial plumbing. At the end of the day, you will do maybe a pen riding ball or maybe or different thing that is contrary from your career.
Okay.
And I think government need to see how best most of the policy makers can work in that direction to help the young people in this region. Because for one fact is that in West Africa, let's say Africa at large, the population of young people before 2030, it will be the highest in the world. So African leader needs to be very, very swift and see how best they can work in that direction to help young people. Because if they didn't do that, then young people need to see how best they themselves can be impactable and raise up and see how best they can find the solution and break that barrier.
Okay. What a nice one there. Can we hear from you finally? Love, thank you for being on the program today. Your parting comment quickly so that we get on to Jacinta. Love, are you there? I think it's network. Then we hear from you, Jacinta, quickly before.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, just give us your parting comment as we take leave of you.
Yes, so to all the youth listening, I know it can be hard emotionally and mentally finding jobs, but just know that hope is one of the best things you can keep in our search for valuable jobs that pay you your worth. And also try and improve on your skill set, the technical know-how, and doors will keep opening.
Thank you so much, Love. It was a pleasure having you as our guest for today.
A pleasure. Thanks.
All right. To you, Jacinta.
Yes. Before I give my parting comments, I would love to do a few recommendations firstly.
Okay, please go ahead.
So, to the African government system out there, I really encourage them to try to invest more in education and vocational training programs to ensure young people to acquire the skills that are in demand. Encourage public-private partnerships to create job opportunities through internship, apprenticeships, and work experience placements. Promote entrepreneurship by offering young people financial incentives, mentorship, and access to markets. Create youth-focused employment policies that address systemic barriers such as gender inequality or regional job disparities. Then lastly, to strengthen mental health support for young people.
Okay. All right. Thank you so kindly, Jacinta, for being with us today.
You're welcome. And my parting comments to the youths, just like me, continue to have faith, hope, believe in God, and invest more in yourself.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. That's a nice one. Babaka, how are you living the young people?
Yes, I say, Jacinta, I say the young people, you never discourage and to have also hope and to fight and never discourage because it's not the best way. What we see here in Senegal, as I said a while, when young people leave the country and risk their life, it's not good. They have to stay here in Senegal and to try to fight.
Thank you. A good advice. Terence, finally.
Yeah, I would just like to encourage our young people out there in the entire Sahara region to see how best, we all can cooperate and network to find the better solution for our problem, because we cannot escape this, because we need to break this generational barrier. So we young people need to see how best we can cooperate, no matter the country different, no matter the nationality, as long as you're a young person. When you meet another young person from different country, you all need to work out, see how best you can put in order and recommend a lot of Google recommendation to government in order to help and improve on our livelihood of our continent.
Okay. Well, listeners and viewers, this is where we conclude the third episode of Take the Lead here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM, on YouTube at WADR, on Facebook, WADR English Service. It has been an amazing time having you with us. Join us next Friday for another live episode of this program. Remember to take the lead in shaping the discourse for the betterment of young people in Africa. My name is Augustine Bilkali. Do have a great day.
We thank you for listening to this program in Nigeria on Darling FM 107.3 Owerri, Southeast. We thank our listeners in Liberia on Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Nufa County, Kwakete Radio 100.9 FM, Bargan, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riversers. In Sierra Leone, we thank our listeners on African Young